Hello, everybody. What's going on? My name is Joseph. I'm going to be your low budget host of the day, and today I'm going to be covering California's current governor, Gavin Newsom, on his shifting of blame for California's record gas prices. If you like this video, please remember to like, share, subscribe to this channel, and let's just get straight into this story. This is from the Washington Examiner. Gavin Newsom slammed by experts after shifting blame for California's record gas prices. Governor Gavin Newsom has been blaming the oil industry for high gas prices in California, but experts say the evidence just isn't there. You'd have to explain why oil companies are ripping people off 50% more in California than the rest of the world, and why they only choose to do it now. Economist David Kreutzer of the Institute for Energy Research told Fox News. The big problem is we have policies in place, especially in California, that make it difficult to expand supply. When you have these rules and regulations that prevent markets from responding as robustly as they could, then prices are going to go up. Yeah, that's pretty simple economics. If you can't get the product out, the price is going to go up. It's called supply and demand. Lack of supply equal with a higher demand equals higher prices. So it is not the fault of oil companies that your gas prices are really high. But anyway, Washington Examiner continues. While housing, food, energy, and almost anything else are more expensive in California, gas prices are particularly out of step with the rest of the nation, at about $2 more a gallon, despite being an oil drilling state. The national average on Tuesday was $3.85. That's actually a terrible price compared to where we were 2 years ago. This is of course compared to California's current price, which is $5.94 on average. I have actually seen reports that they have gas prices well above $7 in some locations, which that just sounds god awful if you ask me. The $5 sounds pretty bad as it is, but $7? Ugh. That's I don't even want to think about how expensive that is. If and I don't and I drive a car that doesn't have a lot in the way of fuel. Imagine driving a truck or any other vehicle that doesn't get as good gas mileage and has to take more fuel. You're going to be spending well above several $100s per fill up. Anyways, so this is what the Examiner continues with. Some people may fall for it, but I think people are getting tired of this story, Kreutzer said. It seemed like they're always gouging in California. You have to say, well, what's California doing different today? They have a bunch of idiotic policies. Yep. The main reasons for inflated prices are excessive regulations, a gas tax of 54 cents a gallon, jeez, and an aversion to expanding refineries, Kreutzer said. Part of this involves creating a special blend of lower polluting gas for summer months when people drive more. However, Newsom has been blaming oil companies for the sharp increase and has called for a special legislative session to address it. Gas prices are up while oil companies take in record profits. It does not add up. There are periods between each word there. We cannot continue to allow greedy oil companies to rip us off at the pump, Newsom tweeted. The legislator attempted to impose a tax on oil companies in April, but the backlash was swift, and the bill was mysteriously deleted. It started out as a Republican attempt to have a moratorium on gas taxes, but the anti-big oil language was inserted instead. Newsom has revived the tax idea in a video produced by his office that describes oil company extortion, but Republicans fear that such tax would be passed on to consumers. The idea that the refineries or the oil companies are profiteering off the market conditions in California, I think is not an argument to be taken seriously. Economist Benjamin Zeiker of the American Enterprise Institute told Fox Business. Why weren't they doing that 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 5 years ago? He added that high prices are the fault of market conditions combined with the perverse public policies. This is very true. So, my basic opinion on this is pretty simple. I think the government regulations are to blame for these high prices, and I think blaming oil companies and taxing them more is not going to do what you think it's going to do. Taxing them more means they're going to have to find ways to make money. And yes, their money is not, they are not too big to fail. That is, I don't know why anybody thinks a company would be too big to fail. Every single company, no matter how large or how small they are, will eventually collapse. That's just how things go for humans. And in the case of oil companies, they at the end of the day still want to make their money, and they have to set and they do set the prices. And if you overregulate them, you're going to have to set prices higher, stifle the supply, and there's still just as much demand, set the prices higher. Now, obviously, there's probably an agenda with this. So, and this agenda, of course, has to do with climate change. So for this next section of the video, I'd like to introduce you guys to the concept of ESGs. ESGs is, of course, a course of score that is based off of how how environmentally friendly your corporation actually is. So this is from Fox Business. 19 states investigating major U.S. banks for pushing ESG policies killing American companies. The states, led by Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt, oppose the UN's Environmental Social Governance, ESG for short, policies that require banks and alliance to set carbon dioxide emission reduction targets in their lending and investment portfolios and reach net zero emissions by 2050. Many of America's largest banks, investment managers like BlackRock, and big tech companies such as Microsoft have pledged to use ESG scores to help transform society to remain in line with numerous left-wing goals, including those of the Biden administration, especially those related to climate change. Bank of America, Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan Chase, Morgan Stanley, and Wells Fargo were served Wednesday by the states with civil investigative demands, which acts as a subpoena for the request information. These civil investigative demands include identifying which global climate initiatives each bank is affiliated with, which groups or divisions within the banks are responsible for ESG implementation, and to what extent the bank's CEOs have been involved, among others. The Net Zero Banking Alliance is a massive worldwide agreement by a major banking institution, overseen by the UN, to starve companies engaged in fossil fuel related activities of credit on national and international markets. Missouri farmers, oil leasing companies, and other businesses that are vital to Missouri's and America's economy will be unable to get a loan because of this alliance, Schmidt told Fox Business. We are leading a coalition investigating banks for credit authority to the UN, which will only result in the killing of American companies that do not subscribe to the woke climate agenda. Okay, so what does ESG have to do with oil companies? Well, ESG scores are being applied to pretty much anything that has to deal with environment. So, for oil companies, that could be a major issue because there are a lot of climate change activists out there who really despise the oil industry for carbon emissions. ESGs are they're basically a tax on carbon emission, and ESGs also determine what kind of funds you get. That is why I say that big companies, no matter how large or small they are, can get targeted, and the way they can get targeted are through other corporations destroying them through shady means, like an ESG score. And ESG scores, of course, are based off of a Chinese model where off the Chinese social credit score, where basically everything you do is determined by how good you are for the party. It's the same exact concept for ESG scores. So, overall, I think that overall, I really do not like the direction that a lot of this is going. And I really, really hope that people start to wake up to what is going on because ESG scores will get applied to you personally. I mean, think about it. You're driving a car, or you're driving your car has emissions, has carbon emissions. These people want to tax that. These people want to tax pretty much everything you do until you own nothing, you're happy, and you're living in the pod. So please wake up to what's going on and realize that unfortunately, not everything is hunky dory. I really wish I could report on positive stuff, and I've been trying to find positive stuff, but I think right now highlighting what's actually going on is also a good idea because I feel like a lot of what's been going on has just been ignored, largely ignored, and now it's starting to fester and grow. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. I know it went a little long, but hopefully you guys have a good rest of your day, and thank you for watching. Bye.